you guys see Augusta National damage after Hurricane Helene came through?
Did see that. I did see that. Honestly, at first glance, it didn't look that bad to me, and then I realized that every tree in the picture was down because it was like it was an aerial shot, a bird's eye view, and you couldn't tell because like a tree on the ground almost looked the same as a tree standing up, and then you realize that the trees on the ground were casting no shadows, and you're like, holy! Every single tree in this shot is on the ground.
And several of them,
tree on the ground looks the same as a tree standing up. That like broke my brain for half a second.
But it kind of does.
It felt like you were giving me a parable or something. Felt like Confucius said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked bad.
I think it was like the 16th green that looked like it had like 2 or 3 massive Georgia pines that had just fallen. Right. And if you've ever seen a tree fall and the damage that it can do, remember when that tree fell at Augusta during the Masters a couple of years ago? How insane that footage was that they tried to get
the
scrubbed?
lightning hit it.
Man, when a tree goes down,
it's also
intense.
tough because Georgia pines are ripe to be knocked over. They're tall and skinny.
Right.
It's a shame because, if you look at the history of Augusta, it was a nursery for these types of palm trees and all of these Georgia pines. And it's a very, very nurturing ground for all these old school trees and greenery and all of this flourishing flowers. I mean, that's why it's such a beautiful place. It's heaven on earth. Right in the middle of Augusta, Georgia, it is heaven on earth. It used to be this old nursery. And as you lose all of these historically amazing trees, it's like you're losing a part of that history and that beauty. It's such a shame, but you can't keep it forever. Nature's going to do its thing. But you are losing some magic each time one of these fall down. And you did have a lot fall down there. I don't know what their plan is. Are they going to bring in others? I'm sure they can do that, right? It's like Disney, right? Disney was open like the day after Hurricane Helene. It's like things were flying all over the place. The next day, it looked like
I don't know
happened.
if they'll ever even address it. I think it'll just be fine when we show up.
You don't think they'll do a video of them bringing new ones in with like piano playing, and it's we're making our own history.
The MO that I sort of have heard from there is that they basically have clone trees of all of their important trees and a whole nursery.
Wow.
And if something goes awry, tree related, they can just replace them and you don't really notice that much. So maybe it'll look a little bit thin in certain spots. But I think in terms of those greens and the spots where trees fell that people are like, oh my God, that must have damaged that so much. I think those guys are going to open up those doors for the Augusta National Women's Amateur. They're going to welcome everyone in. You're going to hear the birds chirping. The green's going to be grass. And they're going to be like, oh, yeah, hurricane was devastating. We raised $1 billion to help all the people. We're lucky enough here at Augusta. Everything's fine. And you're not going to really notice anything.
What's that first par 3? Is it like 3 or 4?
Yeah, 4.
I think there's a palm tree there. It's like the last palm tree remaining. It's on the right side, I think. You could fact check me on that, but that's a Frankie fact. It's fact until it's fiction. I think there's one final palm tree, and they talk about it all the time. It's from that original nursery that when they purchased the land from it, it's still there. I think it's on 4. But that's something that if they're lying to us about that and they're grabbing a palm tree from the Jupiter Jackals. Was that
normally I would say
that's Bob's dad's softball team name is what that is.
I was saying you said Jackals earlier. I didn't know what that was.
Did I say Jackals earlier?
I think so. Yeah.
It does say that the lone palm is finally on display on the 4th. That's from 2019. I'm looking at it.
Thank you.
I'm looking at it. And it is a hilarious sight among these Georgia pines that there's just a thick palm tree sitting in there. Says, as the Augusta National Property is the site of a former plant nursery called Fruitland Nurseries, the numerous trees and shrubs throughout make visitors feel as if they are attending a world-class garden attraction and golf tournament. It is estimated that since the course was built, more than 80,000 plants and 350 varieties have been added to the Augusta National landscape.
And now half of them have probably been swept away, but we'll never know. But don't, and this is a lesson, this is an urgent demand from me to Augusta National.
wow.
Do not with that palm tree. If it falls, you let us know, and then it's gone forever. Don't put a new one there. You need to preserve history at some point. I don't like all this secondary backup, fill in trees. No chance. No, sir. No, sir.